Hello YouTubers, welcome to PDINA Royally Teachable Moments. I hope you're doing well today. I am at a position now where we have to really seriously look at what is happening here. What has happened? Well, Harry is just doing all kind of things, and this is why when we Americans speak about this, it really gives an insight into the conniving of the royals. And when I say the conniving of the royals, it's the perpetrating royals, those from Montecito, the ones that most recently relocated there. And that's what Harry has done. So we all know the memorial of the Queen's death has come and gone. You know, people wanted to memorialize, they wanted to talk about the Queen's memory, it being the 1-year anniversary of the Queen's death. And that was a very significant time to reminisce on, to think about. It's been a year since the Queen has passed away. Now, the things that I think are important for people to understand that are Americans and those that do not have a constitutional monarchy is to see how there are procedures and protocols and traditions and orders of ways of doing things. And Harry knew exactly what he was doing. There's this report that is now saying that Harry managed to beat the royal family to the punch with a heartfelt speech about Queen Elizabeth on the first anniversary of her death. He opened up about his beloved grandmama. And while he was at the Well Child Awards in London on Thursday. Now, the prince's grandmother has been honored in a very moving speech. You know, I think him just trying to give himself, to help himself feel good about everything that he has done to cause the Queen and her husband harm when he was in the royal family, essentially. Royal fans were talking about how Harry and Meghan, they were supposed to attend the awards last year, but they canceled at the very last minute because of the Queen's death. You would think even Meghan would even want to come this year to make up for the fact that she couldn't go last year because they had to go to England because of the Queen's passing. But no, she didn't want to come. And so she sat her butt over in Montecito waiting to go to Germany for the Invictus games, which we still haven't confirmed whether or not she's even gone to that, because we know she was kicked out of the ceremony and people are trying to say, oh, that was a mistake. They didn't mean to put her in there. Look. You don't make a mistake about putting somebody in your itinerary to do something. Who you think we are? Stupid? We ain't stupid. So don't give us some nonsense about her mistakenly being put into the Invictus Awards ceremony and she's now not in there to make us believe that she was never supposed to be in there, when we know it was always going to be her goal to be put in there. I could see the Queen's doing that, but we know you had to go see her. But I find it very striking that you didn't even mention your wife. Like my wife and I. Yeah, because Harry knows something is going on. Something is going on. Something is amiss. That girl ain't got nothing to do with Montecito. She just sitting back, just doing her nails. She ain't doing nothing. She could have had her butt over there with you at the Well Child Awards, but she wasn't. But he's going in to talk about the memorial of his grandmama, but there are protocols and procedures around this where the king should have been addressing the Queen's death and talking about the 1-year anniversary of her death first. And Harry knows this, but he's doing it to get a dig at the royal family. He's doing it on purpose. Well, you know what? The royals got him back in the most brilliant way. And we also know that this was the time when, there was this controversy about Harry trying to catch a ride with Prince William, and he wanted Meghan to come, and William was like, you ain't coming with me. They were gone. And then it was allegedly said that Prince of Wales, King Charles now, said that, no, you ain't bringing that woman. She ain't coming. And I can imagine your mother has just passed away. Then you got this woman trying to finagle her way all up into your grill while you go to respect your mother And Harry trying to say that she's going to be coming with him. I can imagine the king said, no, she can keep her butt right where she at. She is not coming. Okay. And that would be something very realistic to believe. And he should have said it. If he didn't, he should have. But regardless, she did not come. Therefore, Kate did not come. I remember that there were reports at the time that Katherine was not going to be coming either, just so that it would be fair that now Meghan could not come. But in hindsight, I say, look, don't try to even be fair. Katherine clearly will get special privileges that Meghan won't. Because we all remember in the beginning, when Meghan came into the family, before they knew her skanky behavior, she got special privileges over Katherine. So why can't Katherine now get special privileges, considering she's shown herself to be loyal, committed to doing her work in grace and duty and honor and all of that, and Meghan isn't? So of course, Katherine should be allowed all the rights to do certain things that Meghan is not. You cannot play these two women side by side as having equal footing, because they're not equal footing in the way that they behave. And there should be some kind of respect and honor to show you will get the special privileges, Katherine, because you know how to behave yourself. You are upstanding in character. Meghan should not be given any respect to do anything because she doesn't know how to behave herself. And so Katherine, considering that Meghan couldn't come, Katherine did not come. And I don't know how that choice came to be. It could have been maybe Katherine saying, I'll stay back since Meghan can't come. Or it could have been the king saying, Katherine, no, you shouldn't come because Meghan can't come. We don't know how it went down. But the fact is, I think Katherine should have been there with her husband when the queen passed away. The protocol is that the king should have been announcing anything from the royal family about the memorial and the memory of the queen, and Prince Harry did it at the Well Child Awards. That's basically what happened. Okay, well then the royals, they gonna sabotage and come back and hit harder, because when Harry a couple days later goes to the Invictus games to begin opening ceremonies, what is released? What is released, folks? Well, a wonderful podcast is released with William, Katherine, Princess Anne, and the husband of Zara, and another rugby player. And I loved it. I actually watched the podcast and I thought it was great. It really was so insightful to see Princess Anne just sitting there talking so casually about her own knowledge of rugby and sports, and Katherine sitting there and William is sitting there and they're talking. And, you know, it's like a really nice insight to see how they all get along as a family. So followers of this whole soap opera, they're saying in this article that they had actually sabotaged Harry's Invictus games. So when William had an event for his charity Earthshot in the Diary in Boston for last December, for example, what popped up? Meghan and Harry's, their documentary about Meghan's famous Are You Okay interview was then released the same day as Kate was set off to take tour of Pakistan. And just this week before William and Kate were due to lay a wreath for Queen Elizabeth II on the first anniversary of her death, an emotional looking Harry he was spotted paying tribute to his grandmama at the Well Child Awards. So the message from the Prince and Princess of Wales, they're saying basically two can play at that game. You want to act like a skank? Okay, we're going to show you how we do it in a royal kind of a way. We know how to give you some of your own medicine the way the royals do it. And that's exactly what they did. So this is what they did. Saturday was the Invictus launch, and it was presented a culmination of 2 years of work and for Harry and what he's doing with his charity. He delivered a speech at the opening ceremonies in Germany. And he went on to say that you and your families are once again part of a team surrounded by people who know what it means to serve, who have a good idea what it takes to get here, who see and know you, and who respect you through your shared experience. Isn't it just something to hear him say that? But at the same time, no, Harry, you are the complete opposite of everything that you just said. it's like, once again, you speaking out the side of your face because you don't know what you're talking about. You just reading the words. You're just reading the words. But there ain't no meaning there. There's no substance of what you're actually saying. So this year's game is a home for respect. Think about the word for a second. Respect. What does it mean to you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Some people may act as if respect is something veterans are asking for, that people with injuries, whether visible or invisible, have to demonstrate that they are worthy of it. And so he went on to say these games are not solely about medals, finishing the finish lines. They're about overcoming any perceptions that have held you back, especially the ones you placed on yourselves, because all of us are here because of you. Okay, so he gives this speech at this very pivotal moment, widely seen chance to detoxify and to relaunch his brand. And yet just hours earlier, William and Katherine, they released their podcasts. Yes, they released their podcast. And it was a moment of just pure smackdown. In a very royal kind of a way. Yes, it was. And what was it? So it was them chatting with Mike Tyndale and the two other hosts of Mike's sports podcast, The Good, the Bad, and The Rugby. So William is the patron of the Welsh Rugby, while Katherine, she is the patron of the English version, and Anne, she is the patron of the Scottish Rugby Union. And the podcast was recorded to support the beginning of the Rugby World Cup, which we know takes place every year in France. And as an American, my son actually played rugby. Yes, he did. He played rugby when he lived over in Ireland for a few months. And it was a great experience. He absolutely loved it. So I can appreciate this right now so very much. Now, to cap the resultant flood of coverage of overshadowing the launch of the Invictus games, a glowing Katherine, she sat there in her Marseille at England's first game of the tournament wearing a stunning white Alexander McQueen suit. This is likely to be a very, very sweet moment for William and Katherine after several years of deliberate and public humiliation at the hands of Harry and his wife. In the interview, they praised the 2012 Paralympics, which was a huge moment for disability sports taking off. And it could have even been a lot bigger with his brother perhaps coming out. Because I was thinking this when William was saying it in the podcast, how he was talking about being able to play these sports when you have these disabilities and really giving great coverage to the idea. But wouldn't it have been such a great nod to Harry to say, and my brother, he has started the Invictus games for wounded veterans, yada, yada, yada. But he didn't say nothing. He kept his mouth shut. He didn't say not one thing about the Invictus games going on at that very moment in Germany. He just kind of did a silent smackdown to his brother because he didn't say nothing. So we know why he didn't do it, because of the interviews, the things that have been disclosed by Harry, all of the conniving. And my point being that Americans, they only see the public persona. They don't see the connection between the smackdown, the deliberate attempts to overshadow certain royals, stepping outside of protocols and traditions. These things we don't see as Americans. All we see is what comes out. It's like, la-di-da. Oh, look at what's going on over there. And this podcast, and oh, and that's so nice. And oh, that's just so nice. He doing this. And oh, there's William. He doing a podcast. And then Harry, he got his Invictus games, But there's no correlation between the smacking down of the events and what is actually happening behind the scenes. And when you understand the behind the scenes of what is actually happening with Harry and his wife as they try to overshadow the royals, then you really see the bad behavior of Harry and Meghan. And then you really understand why the royal family does the things that they do. Okay? And it can look very cold to some people, but if you don't know the inside scoop, you don't see it. So for my American friends to really understand why we have the royals not mentioning Harry's Invictus games or dropping a podcast During the same time as Harry's Invictus games, you need to understand the full backdrop story of the conniving of Harry and Meghan to really get the picture. Because we all know if these two Montecitos would come into your home and they did these things to you and your family, you would behave the exact same way the royal family does. You give a smackdown, you sabotage, you hit them with kindness, and you look royal all at the same time, and you still smell pretty and nice doing it. And you know what? The royals, they know how to do it. They did it the right way. And I just have to say, good for you, royal family. Princess Anne, that was just marvelous what you did. Listening to y'all speak about rugby and sports. And you know what inspired me so much that I am actually going to start taking up tennis again. Yes, I was that inspired by this podcast. My daughter and I, we are so excited. We're going to get out there and play tennis because it helps you with your mental health. It gets you physically active to help keep the pounds off, because I love me some ice cream, y'all. Let me just tell you, I love ice cream. It is like a meal for me. So even I am inspired by this podcast. The good, the bad, and the rugby. It was just so brilliant how they just dropped it. They were like, bam, booyah, right there in your face, Harry. Right there in your face. Go on and talk about your Invictus. And this is the thing. We need Harry to not even be a part of the Invictus anymore, because he is ruining it for the good men and women who are part of the Invictus games, because his name is mud. We don't want Harry a part of this anymore, because the work of the Invictus games, it is good. It's being overshadowed by Harry and his ugly behavior and the skankiness of his wife. So I say, hopefully, Harry will slowly be weeded out of that. And then maybe next time in the podcast, Prince William can come out and say yes. And along with other paraplegic activities and sports, we can also include the wounded veterans from the Invictus games. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.